Good morning and buenos dias. I am Abu Sha'b and welcome back for another lesson in Puerto Rican Express, the fastest way to fluency. This morning we're going to take another look at same word, different meaning, where we look at words that are similar or that come from the same roots in Latin and Greek, but have come to have different meanings in Spanish than in English. We also look at words that are translated differently from what you might logically think. Would you like to come to a cult meeting with me? Yeah, a cult meeting down at my church on Sunday morning. We're going to have a cult meeting. You're invited. Well, the word cult in English has some very negative religious connotations to it. Its Spanish counterpart, el culto, simply means worship service. Clase dominical a las 9:30 y el culto a las 10:30. Sunday school at 9:30 and the worship service at 10:30. Clase dominical a las 9:30 y el culto a las 10:30. Sunday school at 9:30 and the worship service at 10:30. The negative cult in English would be more translated secta. Una secta in Spanish is what we might call a cult, like the Hare Krishnas or the Moonies or whatnot. But if you happen to be a Jehovah's Witness in Spanish, you will be a testigo de Jehová. Testigo is witness in any context. Los testigos de Jehová, the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses do not have culto. Rather, they have what they call Christian meetings, which is reunión cristiana, Christian meeting, or reuniones cristianas, Christian meetings. They do not meet in a church, una iglesia, but rather they meet in what they call the Kingdom Hall. El Salón del Reino, Kingdom Hall, Kingdom Hall. Testigos de Jehová. Dairy farm. Dairy farm. I am from Wisconsin, so I love dairy farm and everything to do with dairy farming, as I worked on many dairy farms when I was a young man and a teenager. Dairy farm in standard Spanish is granja lechera. La leche is milk. Producto lechero, dairy product. Dairy farm, granja lechera. Granja lechera. However, in Puerto Rico, you'll never hear the word granja to say farm. When we have an agricultural operation here in Puerto Rico, that takes place on what we call una finca, which is roughly like a ranch or something like that. Una finca de piña, a pineapple farm. Una finca de piña, pineapple farm. A dairy operation in Puerto Rico, a dairy farm, would be una vaqueria, una vaqueria. Vaca is cow, vaqueria is whatever kind of agricultural operation with cows, una vaqueria. Deer. Deer in Spanish, in American Spanish, is generally translated as el venado, el venado. In European Spanish, it's generally a ciervo, el ciervo. The Bible translates the word deer as ciervo several places. Reindeer in Spanish is reino, reino. Reindeer, reino. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, reino, reino. Defective. Defective is different than what I thought it was. I had to be corrected several times when I said defective. Defective, defectuoso, not defectivo like you might logically think. Defectuoso. However, you're more likely to hear the word dañado. Dañado is damaged, but we use it to say defective as well. A birth defect would be a desperfecto, desperfecto, desperfecto. Defectuoso, defective, dañado, more commonly used, damaged, dañado, dañado. Degree. A degree is un grado. I have it on the list twice here. Degree is grado. A degree like a university degree, bachelor's degree would be bachillerato. We simply call that bachillerato. Master's degree, una maestría, una diploma. Diploma we can also use to say degree. In other countries you might hear the word el título. El título is your degree, el título. And high school diploma in Puerto Rican Spanish, and I think this is true throughout the Spanish-speaking world, is called the 4-year, el 4 año, el 4 año. ¿Tú tienes el 4 año? Do you have your high school diploma? ¿Tú tienes el 4 año? Do you have the 4-year? Do you have your college, or your high school diploma? Excuse me, apron. Apron I mentioned because the word el delantal, the root of this word, delante or delantero, is the adjective to say the front of something. La puerta delantera is the front door. The front seat is el asiento delantero, el asiento delantero, the front seat, delantero. Now, to progress or to get by, in Puerto Rican Spanish is echarse pa'lante, pa'lante. This is kind of a contraction. This is a street pronunciation. It's very colloquial. Pa'lante, pa'lante. Properly said, it would be para adelante, para adelante. Adelante is forward, para adelante is towards forward, but it's abbreviated in Puerto Rican slang to pa'lante, echarse pa'lante, pa'lante, to get ahead in life. Pa'lante, pa'lante. Delivery, delivery in Spanish is entrega, la entrega. ¿Tienen entrega? Do you have delivery? However, this word is on the endangered word list. Palabra en peligro. En peligro is in danger. Because more and more you hear delivery to say it, especially if we're talking about food or furniture here in Puerto Rico. ¿Tienen delivery? Do you have delivery? ¿Tienen delivery? Although properly said, it's entrega. Entregar is the verb to hand something to someone, to hand it over. Delivery, home delivery, entrega. Entrega en casa. Delivery. Gringo, gringo, gringo. Well, not only does it mean an American, usually, a black or white, whatever. Here in Puerto Rico, even if you're a New Yorican and your name is Jennifer Lopez and you have the Puerto Rican flag tattooed on your forehead, if you speak more English than Spanish, you are a gringo, gringo. Anybody who speaks more English than Spanish here is gringo. Even Mark Anthony, Jennifer Lopez, they're still considered gringos by Puerto Rican standard. Demand, to demand. Now the most important difference between these two words in Spanish and English is that in Spanish, una demanda is a lawsuit. It's the most common way to say it here in Puerto Rican Spanish. In other countries you might hear pleito to say lawsuit, but it's really una demanda. And you meterle una demanda a alguien. Metele una demanda, sue him. Metele una demanda, sue them. A lawsuit, una demanda, una demanda. Depend, depend. Now, this is one of those things where it's just a little bit of difference that makes it sound good or bad. And that's in the preposition. In English, we depend on something or on someone. In Spanish, you depend of them, of. Depende de ti. Depende del tiempo. Depende del tiempo. It depends on the weather. Depende del tiempo. Yo dependo de ti. I depend on you. Yo dependo de ti. But it's almost a deeper meaning in Spanish. It's like, I need you. Yo dependo de ti. Dependo de. So it's not depende en, not on. It's of. That preposition. Desk. Desk. Desk in Spanish is el escritorio, is a big desk. However, a small desk in school is called el pupitre, which is related to the English word pupil, which doesn't exist in Spanish, doesn't have a counterpart. The word in Spanish is alumno, although it's not very often used anymore. Usually just say the kids or something like that. Los niños, los nenes en escuela. Dent. Dent. Dent in Spanish is a very long and hard to say word. Properly, it is una embolladura, una embolladura. Because of that, most people, when they see a dent in a car door or something, they'll call it a golpe, un golpe, a hit, a dent, a hit. Tiene un golpe en la puerta, un golpecito, a small dent, golpecito, dent. Embolladura is the proper word for dent. Animal, to get out of my compulsion for putting things in alphabetical order. Animal, animal, animal. The reason I mention this word is because different than English, where if you call somebody an animal, it's really no big deal. In Spanish, this can be very derogatory and offensive to call somebody animal. Animal, animal, because it usually means it's synonymous with stupid or idiot or something like that. It's different than in English. However, the word monster is quite the opposite. If you call someone a monster in Spanish, you're calling them somebody who really knows what they're doing. Se ha hecho un monstruo, monstruo. It's pronounced somewhat the same way, monstruo, monstruo. But in Spanish, calling somebody a monster is really a compliment, especially in colloquial Spanish, colloquial Puerto Rican Spanish. Tú has hecho un monstruo en eso. You have made yourself very, very well known in this, very skillful. And monster, clown, clown, clown. How could I forget clown? Payaso. I put this word on the list because it's so different. Payaso. And clowning in Puerto Rican Spanish is payasería. Ya basta de tus payaserías. Enough of your clowning. Ya basta de tu payasería. Enough of your clowning. However, this is kind of a Puerto Rican word, payaseria, and the proper word in standard Spanish would be payasada, but you won't hear that in Puerto Rico. Payaseria, payasos hacen payaserias, clowns do clowning. Payasos hacen payaserias, clowns do clowning. Deserve, to deserve, the verb to deserve in Spanish is merecer. Merecer, como the last line. Tú lo mereces, you deserve it. And different from English, we usually say this in a positive way in Spanish. Tú lo mereces. If you hear somebody's talking about something good happened to him, tú lo mereces. Different than when we say it in English, you deserve it. A lot of times it can have somewhat of a negative sound to it. You deserve it. You got what you deserve, huh? Lo merecido. And merced is the deserving. Los Mercedes como Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes is a common name for females in Spanish, Mercedes. I don't know if it's related to the German car manufacturer or not, or if it's a family name, Mercedes. Pero la merced is the deserving in Spanish, deserving. So you deserve a Mercedes. Tú mereces un Mercedes. Well, I hope you learned a couple of words about the same word, different meaning. Thank you for viewing and have a great day.